526. He didn't have lettuce between his teeth this time, but Sean Spicer with the bad suits, the White House press spokesperson, while conducting another press conference earlier today, did what so many have done before. They compare the evil one of the moment to Adolf Hitler, and they always say he's worse. You know, like Hillary did. You know, to her, Putin was Hitler. Kerry said Assad was Hitler. And Sean Spicer was pretty much making that same comparison, but he really fumbled it.
You know, you had someone as despicable as Hitler who didn't even sink to using chemical weapons.
Huh? You not remember the Holocaust? All right, he came back.
I think when you come to sarin gas, he was not using the gas on his own people the same way that Assad is doing.
Sean, there were German Jews who didn't think they would get exterminated because they were Germans. We'll give you another try, Sean.
He brought him into the Holocaust Center. I understand that. But I'm saying in the way that Assad used them, where he went into towns, dropped them down to innocent into the middle of towns. It was brought to it. So the use of it, and I appreciate the clarification there. That was not the intent.
Steve Adubato, all world, all TV, all radio, and a publisher of many books, especially the one I'm referring to. Speak from the heart, be yourself, and get results. If Sean Spicer was speaking from the heart, he should be on the unemployment line, shouldn't he, Steve?
Well, number one, I don't buy the fact that this guy's going to be around much longer. It's not because of his suits, my good friend, Curtis Sliwa. I wrote another book called What Were They Thinking? It's about media screw-ups and people who don't know how to communicate in the public. I got to tell you something. I don't want to pile on Donald Trump when he doesn't need it because he's got enough problems, but he put a guy playing center field for the Yankees who can't catch a fly ball. You can't put somebody in that position as press secretary who is a terrible communicator. He fumbles. He dribbles over himself. He corrects himself and then makes it worse. He says, I didn't really mean what I just said. He's nervous in front of the reporters. First of all, the rule is you never compare anyone or anything to Hitler, and you have to know a little bit about history, about the Holocaust, about the gas chambers. And is it not a Jewish holiday, a sacred time? His timing is off. Everything is off. He's got to go. He is not only hurting the president, he is hurting the country, Curtis. He's playing out of position.
All right.
It's wrong.
But on the broader issue, I am so now used to elected officials, appointed officials making the Hitler comparison. When Kerry called Assad Hitler, when Hillary called Putin Hitler.
No one's Hitler.
Right. But they all do that. Bush 43, Saddam Hussein was Hitler. That's like a signal that we're going to go to war against these people, or at least trying to get the American public all worked up. And Assad is certainly not Hitler.
Listen, I'm not even going to do it, Curtis. I'm not going to compare, because I'm going to say this. Anyone who knows anything about history and the people that were killed, the number of people, the way in which they were killed, the circumstances, the game plan of this sick SOB from that period of time, you don't do it. It's enough to talk about Assad in terms of what he's been doing for all these years just by talking about the Assad regime, talking about his father before him in Syria, talking about the fact that it's a dictatorship, that there are no elections, and in fact anyone who stands up against him is in fact murdered. That is what Syria is, that millions want to leave the country. That's why there's a Syrian refugee problem, because no one wants to be there because of Assad. You don't need to compare him to Hitler. You complicated things. He's got to get out of there because he's making Trump's job, a virtually impossible job now, even more impossible.
Now, what about the fact that anyone who speaks on behalf of the Trump administration when it comes to Syria seems to be conflicting with one another? For instance, we saw Nikki Haley say, he's got to go. Tillerson, Secretary of State, said, no. ISIS, that's still our main focus. Today we had General Mattis in conflict with McManus,
that's right,
who is the National Security Director. None of these people seem to be on the same page. Do you think they're just all flying by the seat of their pants, or they're be giving independent and autonomous right to just say whatever it is that's on their mind?
Curtis, let me put it this way. you're the kind of guy who says what's on his mind every day. You know, that's who you are as the broadcaster you are. You could never work in the Trump administration or the Obama administration, but I'll tell you what, if you did work in the administration, you have to know what the CEO, what he or she is thinking, what the message is, not for the day, but on that issue. I hold Donald Trump responsible for not having a clear, coherent strategy, policy, and message. Because he doesn't, and he moves from day to day, moment to moment, visual to visual, whatever moves him, that means the people around him, whatever they're thinking in that moment, that's what they say. If this administration clearly had a game plan and a message, and there was discipline in this administration, Nikki Haley would not say one thing in the United Nations, and Tillerson couldn't say another thing, and McManus one thing. They couldn't be all over the place. You would run this administration with a clear message. Listen, as weak as Obama was, and boy was he weak in a lot of areas, you did not see this happening in that administration.
No, you just had Susan Rice lying all the time.
Well, that's another story.
All right. Well, we'll save it for another day, Steve Adubato.